Hey folks, Kiltman here, Kiltman at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. Now, we're still away. We're still down at this luxury cottage down in sunny Shropshire, not far from Shrewsbury. Wonderful part of the world. As someone in one of the comments on the previous video quite rightly said, you're in the Shire. It is the Shire. J.R.R. Tolkien based the Shire from Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit on the Cotswolds, which isn't this area. It's somewhere from where I'm sitting right now. It's that direction and a bit more southerly. But it's rolling countryside. It's lovely little glens and meadows and paddocks and lots of little copses of really old English trees, lots of oaks and evergreens. It's beautiful. Well, that's the Cotswolds. Cotswolds, not Cotswolds, and Shropshire, it's pretty much the same. There's a lot of rural areas here. There's lots of little towns with very strange names like Cockshut, Wem, and pubs called the Dickens and the Dickens Arms. I don't know. Shades of Summerisle here, methinks. But it is very rural, but you've got lots of little towns, and you've got Shrewsbury, which is one of the big towns, which is just down that way. And but it's got its own sort of mentality. We were talking to people yesterday. We ventured out into a place called Ellesmere, and the mere itself is a huge lake. If you follow me on Facebook, you will have seen a deluge of pictures that I took and Mrs. Kiltman took of the three of us, and particularly me and Roxy the Wonder Dog, posing all over the place. Well, that was wonderful. It was great and very scenic, very beautiful. And in the little town itself of Ellesmere, there was loads of little pubs and copious whiskey was had. Whiskey, you say, Kiltman? Whiskey, I do say. Oh yes. Take the home comforts with me wherever I go. Cheers, y'all. Cheers, my fellow traveller. And we got talking to a few regulars, locals, and it was surprising how many of them. One guy said, like, look, I've lived here all my life, but I've taken sort of like 6 months off to travel around my own county because I've never travelled anywhere around where I live. I've always gone abroad, I've always done this, I've always gone elsewhere, but there's so much on offer here. Now, look, I'm not a big, the tour guide and sort of travel agent for Shropshire and Shrewsbury. I'm not, but it's a lovely place. And I get what he meant. Sometimes people live all their life in a certain area, but they never really experience what's on their own doorstep. And you really owe it to yourselves to do so. Oh yeah, if you're in the UK, you want to go out to Australia, Scrowie, Randall. You want to go up to America, Imelda, Stevie, Jeff. I know. And just somewhere really beautiful and big and epic. Mountains, lakes, reservoirs, deserts, tundra. You want to experience all these things. And yet people in Australia and America and other places which have got all these vast wildernesses want to come to little tiny Britain, because little tiny Britain has got so much to offer as well. A lot of greenery, a lot of rainery. Without rainery, you don't get greenery. It's as simple as. Now, the forecast for today was meant to be, rain, but it hasn't happened. But it is overcast today. It's kind of dull, but it's still very, very warm. And the clouds are really low, which keeps the humidity. So it's muggy. And in this particular little pavilion house, there's lots of French windows and doors which I could open, but that will bring in an incessant array of flies probably. But it's very hot in here, so I'm going to take my hat off, to be honest. Hey, I'm going to stay to that. But this place is wonderful. But as I said, we met people who live here who haven't travelled around at all on their own doorstep. But this guy was saying, well, I'm doing it now. I'm taking time off just to travel around my own county. and explore so much. And he was wide-eyed with wonder. You know, he was just like, oh, I saw this, and yesterday I went to here, and tomorrow I'm travelling out to here. But if he wanted to, he could go home within an hour. He lives in the centre of bloody Shropshire. So all these things are things he hasn't seen before. And as I say, you know, wherever you are, there's going to be places you have not gone to. And Americans, you guys are massively renowned for this. There's a huge percentage of Americans do not have a passport. In other words, they don't leave the United States. But they live in states which are, they've got forests, mountains, lakes, reservoirs. You know, they've got everything that us in Blighty dream of. And yet we've got that just in sort of miniature. But Americans don't really bother to go out of their country. But the ones that do, they come to the likes of Europe and Britain and Ireland, you know, and Scotland and Wales. Let's not leave any place out. And they love it because it's quaint, it's historical, and it has so much to offer. And it doesn't take them long to get around. Speaking of long to get around, today is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny Day. And of course, had I been back at home, I would be sitting watching it right now. And I'd be reporting on it in about 2 hours time. I'd be reporting on it. Because I'd have gone to the Light Cinema down in New Brighton, and they were doing the early showing. And I would have been right there with it. But of course, I'm not there, am I? So I can't watch it. Now, as Mrs. Kiltman rightly pointed out, I think 7 to 8 miles away, which is nothing, actually in Shrewsbury, there is the Cineworld cinema, and they were showing it, I think, at, well, midday, something like that anyway. But they were charging a golden idol for a ticket. And I thought, she goes, I'll just drop you at the train station, and you can just, you know, get the train into Shrewsbury and go and watch it, and then get the train back and I'll pick you up. Well, me and the dog do our own thing. And I thought, well, I kind of wanted to do it. I was like, oh, but then I saw the price of the ticket and I thought, no ticket, as Indy would say in the Zeppelin. So, no, I haven't got to see it. Now, saying about distances, I say, 7 or 8 miles away, something like that. Which is not far. Christ, there was times I could have run that, watch that, had a few berries and run back again. Not anymore, folks, not anymore. But in America, I know a lot of cases, a lot of people, if they want to see a film in 3D, or they want to see it in IMAX, or they want to see it in one of the better cinemas, they've got to go out of state. So they've got to either like get a Greyhound bus, numerous trains, or fly, or drive for hundreds and hundreds, maybe 1,000 miles to go and see a movie. And they do. Fuck that. You know, that's not my idea of fun. I mean, obviously, if that was the case, I'd fly to Paris to watch this. I should have gone to Cannes to watch it. Maybe if I'd seen it in Cannes, I wouldn't be so excited about it right now. So, which brings me to Indy. The soundtrack, not full, but the album release of John Williams' soundtrack score to Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny dropped last night. Of course, I got it and listened to it at 4 o'clock this morning. And, I liked it. I think it's a strange sort of score for an Indiana Jones movie. It is very whimsical, elegiac, slightly melancholic as well, which I think is only befitting to the story of the film that I know, having not seen the film yet. Of course, John Williams is now retired. This and The Fabelmans were his last scores, his last movie scores. He's only going to be doing concerts from now on. But it's probably still write and, conduct concerts of his own stuff. And long may that continue. But the backlash to this movie has been every big film that comes out, especially a franchise movie, especially one that's building up on the original sort of idea, which was maybe done decades before. So think of your Star Wars and think of your Indiana Jones, but just rehashing old characters and bringing them back again. And there's a huge contingent which can't stand the idea. and there's a huge bunch of loyalists who stand beside it, and then often really fall flat on their face. And before they fall flat on their face, they get egg on their face, and then they fall flat on it. But and I'm no stranger to that. I've bigged up films before, as you guys know. Halloween Kills. That smarts, that one does. Halloween smarts and rubs salt in your wounds. I detest those new Halloween movies with a vengeance. But I love Indiana Jones, and I know it can't be a patch on Raiders or Temple or Crusade. It can't be. Crystal Skull I wasn't a fan of, and so many people aren't. But I always try to cling to the idea that it had the spirit of adventure. It did move, it moved ahead in time. So it moved into the times, the 50s, and the whole McCarthyist, anti-communist sort of thing, nuclear and atomic testing and all this sort of stuff going on. But when you brought in, just have the courage of your convictions. If they're aliens, they're aliens. No, they're from the space, between space. Oh, shut up. Just shut up. And get Shia LaBeouf out of the picture. God. Well, he's out of the picture in this one, which apparently accounts for some of the tragedy and the woe is me attitude that Indy has at the start of this movie. Well, not the start, because the start of this movie is set in 1944. And he's the de-aged Indy on the train. And he's getting one part of the Dial of Destiny under the nose of Mads. So yeah, it's under the nose as I itched my nose. Of Mads Mikkelsen. Nazi bastard. Nasty Nazi. Well, there's no good Nazis, is there? Let's be honest. Thereby inspiring all the events of this movie. Well, that's only half of it. Got to get the other half, and there's other bits. And it's quest within the quest within the quest, and then side tangents here, there, and everywhere. Lots of chases, lots of stuff happening, and in between that, sort of getting to know you with Helena, who is his goddaughter, and played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I sound like I'm reviewing the movie, don't I? I haven't fucking seen it. But this is what gets me, folks. On all the forums, on YouTube, you have the people who have legitimately seen the film and don't like it. Fair dues. And there's many of them. There's infinitely more negative reviews than that have been positive reviews. Infinitely. But the vast majority of those negative reviews have been by people that haven't seen the fucking film in the first place. So they're just jumping on the I hate Disney bandwagon, which is what's happening there. You've got to understand this. There's a huge political thing. People don't like Disney anymore because Disney, the House of Mouse, have come in like a Nazi tyrant and taken over every franchise going. It's become a megalomaniac industry. And I don't like them for doing that. But there's a huge amount of vitriol for Kathleen Kennedy, Uber producer for Lucasfilm. And of course, the backlash that George Lucas and Spielberg haven't co-written this, and Spielberg isn't directing it. But they are exec producers on this movie. And I doubt they'd sign off on something which they didn't think paid a fitting tribute to one of their most cherished and much loved creations. I doubt they'd do that. But the film, it's got to tread a very fine line between paying homage to what you've seen and loved before and bringing all that excitement back, but also acknowledging the fact that, he's a much older guy. I mean, Harrison Ford's 80 years old. There's many people older than than Harrison Ford who are still working a hell of a lot. The great actress Sheila Hancock's 91, or is it 92? And I saw her get interviewed the other day, and my God, she was sharp, she was funny, she was opinionated, she looked amazing. Whereas you watch Harrison Ford being interviewed, it's like Joe Biden. He hasn't got a fucking clue where he is. Give him a script and he'll learn the script. Put a CG stuntman in his place, with Harrison Ford's face morphed onto him, or de-age him with old rushes from the original movies. And he's great. But actually off the cuff interviewed, he's a mumbling, stuttering buffoon. And it doesn't bode well for him going on, But I still have a lot of high hopes for this, even with lowered expectations. Does that make any sense? Well, to my mind it does. I know it won't be a patch on the originals. I know I'm going to spot the naff CGI a mile away and rue its invention in the first place against real life stunts and proper practical effects and visual stuff like. But I will accept it for what it is, and it is the end of a character. It's the last chapter. People could argue that Crystal Skull was a fitting the way it ended, last chapter, and that to dig it all up again. But Harrison Ford was all for it. Lucas and Spielberg were all for it, and Mangold, director Mangold, was all for it as well. So I do have. Is my voice echoing? I feel I have status. I am giving a speech. But unlike Joe Biden, I won't just stare blankly into space with those alien black eyes. And then, did you see him? Oh, recently. Oh my God. At the end of a speech, he went, anyway, something of more consequence. God bless the Queen. God bless the Queen. The Queen died, you fool. And she weren't your Queen. What did he mean? He's not dealing with the real world. Bit of politics shoehorned in there. So, anyway, this is meant to be like a mini magazine edition. But it can't really do the full thing. Can you hear that? It's raining. In fact, it's fucking lashing down. But it's summer rain. It'll come down sharp, heavy, super fast and drench you within a nanosecond. It'll almost wash the flesh off your bones. But and then as soon as it starts, it goes. It just passes overhead. And you need it to sort of refresh the air for a bit. Oh, speaking of refreshment, hey ho. So, the soundtrack. I like it. I was saying before that people don't like the movie even if they haven't seen it. Suddenly people are getting the soundtrack and they don't like the soundtrack. They say, oh, this is just John Williams on autopilot. It's just, I created a term for John Williams, reviewing his stuff for AV Forums many years ago. In particular, the likes of Crystal Skull. I said, this is just the last phase of John Williams, and it's become a lush, mush, trademark to kill it. Well, they used it several times, and then I saw other people started using it as well. Meaning it was dense or orchestral writing. As he always does, there's colour from every side, every quarter, every angle of the full orchestra, which is normally what you love and expect from John Williams. But Crystal Skull just had so much going on that it swamped every single individual motif, melody, and it became just this incessant swamp of symphonic deluge, and it didn't work for me at all. And I heard people saying similar about this score. Well, I got it at 4 o'clock this morning, and I got out of bed and I went to listen to it. And because we're kind of a little bit more isolated in our cottage, I Bluetoothed it to the speakers which are in the cottage and played it. Not that loud, but at 4 in the morning it was still probably quite loud. And I really enjoyed it. Now, it is different, I will be honest, it's different. Helena's theme, which we've all heard. If you're an Indiana Jones fan, you'll have heard this theme because John Williams has played it at the premiere and he's played it a couple of times, and various versions of it have been put on YouTube and other platforms, and I think I've got them all. But listening to it this time, and it's what's her name? Sophie Alice Mutter, Sophie Miles, Sophie something Mutter, who is a Austrian-German violinist who has worked with John Williams many times, even on the ludicrous Attack of the Clones. But at least you've got like a cross, what was it called? Across Time and Space or something like that. The love theme from Attack of the Clones, which is beautiful. It's the best theme in the movie. In fact, one of the best themes of the prequel trilogy. And she's working with him again on this. And wow, there's a couple of variations on it, and I know it plays throughout, from what I've heard, it plays throughout the film in a few permutations, and it is simply gorgeous. But it is, the version I heard just before it came out was quite sad, but I liked it though, and I think it fits. If this is the end of Indy, I don't mean, or do I? Because I don't know. I don't think so. But it's still going to be sad to see the guy go. And this seems to be like a bit of a fitting sort of epitaph, really, even though it's for Helena. The action cues, well, it certainly takes in Raiders. There's hints of Temple, and there's a lot of Last Crusade. The whole Nazi stuff of Last Crusade is in this. Lazy, bringing these things back in, or referencing an homage. I'm going with the latter, referencing an homage. It's not being lazy. It's not self-plagiarism. They're there. If you've got an Indiana Jones film, you want to hear the Raiders March, which you do. Now, people have complained about what appears to be the final rendition of the Raiders March, where it's slower. It's truncated, but it's also a slower paced version. Well, I know what they mean, and there's one of my favourite James Bond themes. You guys know where I'm going with this. Is the secondary Bond theme, not the doom 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 doom, not that, but the 007 theme. It's only in 5 movies by John Barry, which I've played a lot. I did it only recently as well, and I want it playing at my funeral. Well, in Moonraker, which was the last time that it would be in a John Barry James Bond movie, or just a James Bond movie at all, it's during a speedboat chase. And the thing about 007, the theme is, it's fast, it's impulsive, it's ding, 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 ding. I got it wrong there. See, how weird is it when I'm not playing music? I can't even fucking do it now. I'm not going to try that again. I know. He's going to really take the piss out of me later on. If you listen, he's actually humming it right now, little bastard. But they play it slower, and it's more, one of my favourite words is elegiac, and a lot of films and music I talk about, they're elegiac, you know. I'm at that age where things that are elegiac mean more to me. They get my heart and soul. So that version of 007, during a fast-paced speedboat action sequence, it's a more sedate, gentlemanly. Roger Moore was a lot older, obviously. It's an older version and more, I don't know, it's just more charming. It's not as staccato and violent and really urgent. It's slowed down. Well, that's how the Raiders theme ends, seemingly, for the movie and the soundtrack. Now, I don't mind it. I actually don't mind it. Now, that could be because after years of like that Moonraker version of 007 didn't work for me, I began to suddenly see, oh yeah, and again it could be age. Oh yeah, that's working that. Oh, it's really lovely, isn't it? Oh no, all these years I've never been playing it because this is the slow version. No, now it works. So maybe that's opened the door for me so that the slower, shorter version of Raiders actually does seem to work. But folks, I will see Raiders. I will see Dial of Destiny as soon as I possibly can, even if it means by illicit, devious, nefarious purposes. Because I don't like being left behind, folks. I don't like being left behind. And I want to be able to talk about it. And I will go at length on it. I will do a massive spoiler review, and I will discuss the score whilst playing the bloody score. See, this is the thing. Even though I was piping the music or streaming the music to the Bluetooth speakers, I couldn't sit and record it because obviously I'm playing it from my phone. So the minute you start, it doesn't work. Wouldn't it be great if it could have done that? If only I'd known that there was a Blu-ray player as well in the cottage, which I didn't know about. I could have brought movies down and discs down. I could have been playing music in the background. But no, never thought of that, did I? Cheers, y'all. Right, now, because this is a mini magazine edition, let's get some other topics discussed. Oh, what did I talk about? Okay, well, another local one here. I think I made reference to the small airfield, which is just down there across the fields, and it's RAF Sleep. Well, it's actually pronounced Sleep, but again, in the pub, which is just up that way, I was talking to a couple of regulars, not last night, the night before, and I said, oh yeah, we're going to go down to RAF Sleep, and he went, oh, you mean sleep? And I thought, oh, hang on a minute. If you read up on the place, it's meant to be Sleep, and it's written SLAEP, Sleep. I'd say no. We call it Sleep. Okay, fine. I made reference to this because it does appear to be called that in certain, I don't know, certain areas from certain people. Well, that airfield there, you can have private flying lessons. Oh, wouldn't it be great? Oh, wouldn't it be great if I could afford to do that and we could film Kiltman up at a plane. But as we've seen, adventurous people these days are coming a serious cropper, are they not? Julian Sands, the poor guys in the Titan submersible, and that poor guy in the hot air balloon that came crashing down to earth and killed him. Just, folks, stay at home, sit on the couch, be safe, put your feet up, drink whiskey and watch Kiltman videos. No, you do what you got to do. Get out there, enjoy the world. If that's your passion, go for it. Don't worry about the risk, just do it. But yeah, that airfield during World War II, they did a lot of training with the big bomber aircraft, and also the hang gliders being towed behind. These are troop carrying hang gliders. They're not hang gliders, they're big, hang gliders. They're massive big gliders full of paratroopers, and this is the drop at Arnhem, a bridge too far, Operation Market Garden. They trained here. So that's got a lot of history and pedigree there. The cafe that's there is also the officers' mess as well. So hopefully we can get into that. Hopefully dogs are allowed, otherwise it could be a very short visit. But if we get down there and everything's kosher, I'll do a little video there as well. But sounds fantastic, and the planes have been buzzing around this morning again, like so. Right, what else is there? Killer whales. Oh my god, have you heard this? The killer whales. Now this isn't particularly new news. It's been going on for a while now, and I think I meant to do this when I wrote my notes for the magazine edition about a week ago, and of course that never actually happened. I wrote this and loads of other things which are now to talk about them now, but this is still relevant. Killer whales in the seas of Spain and Portugal have been ramming fishing vessels and pleasure vessels for a good while now, but ramming them and repeatedly ramming them, and it's caused a huge amount of worry, upset, fears, consternation, and a lot of that thing that authorities don't like the public to do. Speculation. It's nature fighting back. What's driving them wild? Why are they doing this? And this got brought to a head because in the Shetlands, only about a week ago, it happened up there. Killer whales repeatedly headbutted and rammed a fishing vessel up there. And so it's caused a fair bit of, what the hell are they doing? Killer whales are very big. And there's a clue in their name. They're orcas, but they're killer whales. They're a huge, huge predator. The only thing that can challenge a great white shark in the seas is a killer whale. And they often do. They've been known, same as dolphins. Dolphins, who are getting a bit of a bad rep as well these days. But that's another story. That's one I don't understand that one at all. Remind me to talk about that one. I will do at some point. But killer whales have been known to help people who have been attacked by great white sharks. They'll butt them out the way. Dolphins do it as well, and save human beings. It's been documented, it's well known. But, so, the killer whale is bigger than the great white. Well, the ones that we've seen. But if you look at Jaws 2, Jaws 2 cleverly turns that on its head, because you have on the Amity Island, you've got the old lighthouse, and all the kids are making out and all that. And then, of course, Tina and Eddie run across the sand dunes, and they come across the huge carcass, washed up carcass of a killer whale with lots of big bites taken out of it. And so they call it in. Brody turns up, and of course Brody recognises the bite marks right away. He's got a bite radius because he's learnt this from Matt Hooper, hasn't he, from Jaws? And but Matt Hooper's now he's off doing his bloody big packaged scientific tour on the Aurora. So, but he's there with another ichthyologist with a little straw hat on, like it's a woman, and she's like, she's dead dismissive. He's like, no, obviously, we need to get the bite radius. Well, why? Because we've got to find out the size of the shark that did this. What shark? The shark that did this. Well, we don't know that, do we? Well, it's obvious that a big fish took a bite out of this big fish. I said, but we don't know it's a shark, and she's dead dismissive. But Brody knows, and we know, it's a big great white, even bigger than Bruce. And it kind of, I like the idea. I don't like the idea of a killer whale being eaten by a shark, but nature. But it's a great scene because it adds a lot more. Like, oh my god, the killer whale, that's huge. So something even bigger took this down. My god. But she's going like, but the bite radius, every other little fish in the sea had a nibble out of this. Like, like, I know what a shark looks like, 'cause I've seen one up close. I don't want to go for the hell again. He doesn't say that to her, but he's thinking it. But the killer whales, why are they doing this? They've done it to many, many, these are small vessels, trawlers, fishing boats, pleasure cruisers, yachts, and they ram them. And a lot of eyewitness accounts have said that it's fucking terrifying because they're going in, bang, headbutting it, then circling around, coming back, bang, then going underneath, bang. Well, you put yourself on that vessel, flimsy wood or fiberglass or whatever the hell these hulls are made out of these days. And one of these is coming up and you're vulnerable out at sea. And if it come up at speed, it could flip the whole thing over and you're in the water. Now, some scientists have come out and said, like, look, this is not aggressive behaviour. Well, tell that to the people on board the bloody ship, the little boat, who get rocked about by orcas. So no, it's an adrenaline rush. It's a thrill kick for them. They're having fun, and I think there is some weight to what. There's two experts I read about. One was male, one was female. I forgot their names. They weren't English or American. They had lots of syllables and vowels and things in their names, and when you say it out loud, you can end up spitting a fair bit as well. Yeah, those kind of names. And they said, like, no. If it was aggressive behaviour, and I do believe this, if it's genuinely aggressive and they meant harm, they could sink any of these boats within seconds. So they're not doing that. They're just, because people are saying, oh, it's nature fighting back. They're sick of us, in their territory, so they're fighting back. And they said, no, they're just having fun. Because they don't want to sink you. Oh, they'll sink you and they'll kill you. But they also said there's no historical reference to an orca killer whale actually harming a human being. I don't think that's true. And I don't just mean the movie Orca Killer Whale. I don't mean that at all. But I'm sure I've read about orcas who have took humans. I'm sure I have. I'll have to look at it. I've got no reference material here other than Google itself, which is probably the best fucking tool known to man. But I've got a vast library. I've got books and books on these things, and I like to go and get a book off the shelf and leaf through it, go through the index. Oh yeah. Oh yes. I like finding it. I like the actual element of searching rather than just, oh, I did a search on Google. Fucking hell, a search on Google. You just write you say it out loud. Google will fucking find it for you anyway. Because it's listening to you. It's reading your mind. So, before I get around to doing it, someone out there will Google the victims of orca killer whales. But what's fascinating about it is this, that they've traced it back to a particular juvenile orca that suddenly start ramming these boats. This would be Portugal and Spain. sorry, it was the Straits of Gibraltar where this one was actually witnessed doing it, and they traced it back to this one, who started the current trend. It's like headbutting. And then they saw it. It was encouraging other young orcas to copy it, to mimic what it was doing. So all of a sudden, they were attacking. And then you got reports of them acting as teams. They were from different sides, attacking, headbutting these ships, which is going to be terrifying, isn't it? All these orcas coming at you, you know. And also, there was a report of the older ones training the younger ones to do it. So what came first? The juvenile that started it? Because this is where all the science bit falls apart. So can you trust the scientists and the experts? Because you've got one story that one juvenile in the Straits of Gibraltar started all this and encouraged the other young ones to do it. But then there's other reports of the older ones training the younger ones to do it. I don't know. It's still fucking bizarre though, isn't it? You know, you've got orcas who are having fun at sea, but even just having a bit of fun for an adrenaline rush, they could sink one of these boats. Oh shit, well that one went down. Well, don't worry, there's one over there. Let's go and take that one down. Let's see how long we can keep that one afloat while putting our heads through it and all that, like. Jesus. So what's going on in the killer whale world? They're probably getting pissed off that, oh, how many shark movies are there? Oh, another one, Meg 2's coming out. Oh, Christ. Don't forget about us, because we're bigger. You're spending all your time fantasizing about a huge prehistoric shark when we're that fucking size anyway. And look at our name. We're called killer whales. Oh dear. But even the ones in captivity have killed some of that. There you go. There you go. SeaWorld. You've had 2 trainers killed by the killer whale. The killer whales that they were training and loved and adored. That poor girl that got dragged in front of all the witnesses who were all filming it, all the families. Got dragged in by a hand, and then she surfaced and dragged her down again, drowned her and mauled her as well. And there was a male trainer who got done. I think he was done a few years before, and a whale that he'd been training was very close to, very attached to. Just thought, fuck this. I want a bit more fun than just a bit of fish. Come here, arr! Dragged him off by his head. So anyway, nature fighting back. I applaud it. You guys have seen me review films like Grizzly and Jaws 2 and other stuff, and yeah, I love the idea. I don't particularly like the idea of being out at sea when one of these decides, no, enough's enough. That guy in the kilt, all this, gives it all this all the time. Well, here you are. How about this? Talk about this one, you tartan twat. Right, so we've done RAF, Sleep, Slate. We've done Indie. We've done killer whales. Oh wait. My little notes. I don't know if you heard this one. This is from Brooklyn, and there's a landlord in one of these sort of big townhouses, which has got all like apartments in it, and he's vegan, and he's banned anyone who moves in there from cooking fish or meat because he can't stand the smell of fish or meat. And he stipulates this, if you're a meat eater, you can't cook the food that you like to eat. You can't cook it here. I will not allow it. You'll be evicted. So, and there was a bit of an uproar about it. Like, is he right to do this? Well, look, sadly, folks, yeah, he is. I'm a meat eater. I'm almost fucking pure carnivore, but it's his dwelling place. He's renting out these apartments. The management has the right to refuse admission. If he wants a certain type of person there, I think it's within his rights. He's not being, he got likened to being racist or homophobic and all that, but it's a lifestyle choice. He's not being racist or homophobic or anti-Semitic or anything like that, or transphobic. None of that at all. It's just that I can't stand the smell of meat or fish being cooked. But he said, if you are a meat eater or a fish eater, you can get deliveries. Yeah, you can have Deliveroo. Can bring it to you. I don't mind that. I just don't want you cooking it. And say big uproar. His name is Motti Lera. Now I looked at this and his name actually isn't Motti Lera. It's actually quite a long, stupid name. Oh, there's me being name phobic. It's got this stupid. It's like several names. I think the surname Lera might be correct, but I saw him being interviewed and they called him Motti all the time. So whether that's his nickname or what, I don't know. But Motti Lera is the guy, and he defended himself quite well. And so people have actually asked me, what do you think about that? And I said, well, to be honest with you, it's his choice. And you've got a choice. If you want to cook meat and fish, then don't move in there. He said, I don't want it. So there's plenty of other places. Go somewhere else. It's not cheap either. It costs thousands and thousands a week, So it's not exactly a hostel. And but on the flip side of this, you've got people who are vegans who argue and are quite vociferous about, you're living in your house and you have a barbecue in your garden and you're cooking sausages and burgers, not meat free, and they can smell it over their fence, and they take offence about the smell over their fence, and they kick up a big stink about it. They take offence over the fence and kick up a stink about the smell. It's a good script, isn't it? It's a good script. Go on, be honest. You couldn't come up with that kind of crap, could you? Now that's a big no-no. Fuck off. It's quite simple, that. Quite simple. No, my land, my property, I'm cooking what I want to cook. You don't like it, fuck off. End of. Wing! Off you go. I don't give a shit. And if you want to really, really, go toe-to-toe over it, well, your face is going to go on the grill pan. Yeah, how do you like it now? Ooh, that smell offending you. Smells good to me. No. On your property, you do what you want. Don't care. That's where the argument fails completely. Oh, because I'm vegan, you can't do what you do for your lifestyle. You can't do it because mine's more important because I'm a minority. Fuck off. Which leads me into, and I'll do this very briefly because it could be an all fucking day with this shit. This woke bullshit. I've spoken before, and you guys all know. Don't need me to tell you. People identifying as this, that, and the fucking other, and teachers getting sacked for it, for just teaching real biological fact. A man, a woman. The chromosomes come into it. What is a woman? A woman is an adult human female. What is a man? An adult human male. What you do after you're born with your body is entirely up to you, but it doesn't alter the original fact that you are one or the other. Or you can be as trans as much as you want. You can be as fucking gender fluid and non-binary, fucking whatever. I don't care. I don't fucking care. But when people, teachers who are really going through a minefield, oh God, I wouldn't want to be a teacher now. Well, I never would want to be a teacher, but friggin' hell, imagine it now. You've got in some schools, kids are being indoctrinated into things that the parents don't even know they're being taught. They're being taught about gender fluidity and all that from a very early age. I don't think that's right. I don't. Let the parents deal with that. You deal with the biological fucking facts. And then when they get a bit older, you're teaching about social stuff and culture at that stage when they're in their teens. But teach them about money, about living a modern life, how to budget, what mortgages mean, about politics, about why you're voting and who you're voting for and what policies mean. That's what you should be teaching. Don't indoctrinate small kids, and don't daft ass fucking parents dragging their kids, their little kids, to gay pride fucking rallies where people are cycling bikes up and down Seattle and they're wearing no clothes and they're parading around with all their fucking little joysticks waggling about in front of kids' faces. Why does gay pride get a month? Oh, by the way, I've got nothing against gay people at all. I have not. People, you've got to say this now. I've got nothing against it. No, I've got nothing against it. But I've got things against certain policies and practices. How is it you guys get a gay pride month when you get Armed Forces Day? One day, Armed Forces Day, you get a month. People put their lives on the line in the name of king, queen of country and presidents, and you put your life on the line for a system and for a country on a daily basis, and all you get in return for that, as far as society is concerned, is Armed Forces Day. There you go. Oh, and Remembrance Sunday, you get that as well. You get that. But gay pride gets a fucking month. Does heterosexual pride get a month? No. Are we allowed to celebrate heterosexuality? No. By walking around bolloco, flashing your bits, and wearing stupid feathers and fucking all sorts of colours and rainbows everywhere. Are we bollocks? No. But you guys are allowed to do that because you can't say anything about it, Great music though. Love gay music. The world's gone to rack and ruin, folks. But, the point of that was, you've got these kids identifying as cats and dogs and horses in class. You can't say it's because I identify as a cat. Well, my answer to that is very, very simple. Well, fuck off out my class, because no animals allowed in school. Out you go. Oh, you're a horse. Stables out there. Fuck off. Get out of my class. Don't give a shit. The weird thing about this story about the cats and dogs thing and horses is that the girl in question was taking the piss out of everybody else who's identifying as this, that and the other. And the teacher, they recorded the teacher really stitching into this girl. You're despicable. This girl was taking the piss out of the whole thing, identifying as a cat, pointing out the ridiculousness of the whole thing and the limitless capacity it has for just being so absurd, where there's no end to it. Anyone can identify as anything they want to be and demand rights. And it's usurping authority, it's usurping common sense. That's what it's all about. It's a war, it's an ideological war against reality, is what it is. So this girl was actually taking the piss, but this bloody teacher was so terrified of you can't say, no, someone can't be a cat. You can't do this. You're despicable. It's ridiculous. If your values, you take them to the school, leave this school right now. And you'll see Mr. So-and-so, and can you call him Mr. So-and-so anymore? You can't even call him that now. You can't call Miss, you can't do that anymore. Mr. So-and-so, you can't do it. What do you do then? Oi, cunt, Oi, fuckwit. Where does it end, folks? Where does it end? There are signs that the woke worm is turning, but each time I hear that, then another story comes out like this. Teachers either being sacked for just talking common sense. Who was that male teacher who had a book, a biological book about about human biology, and it was on the curriculum. It was on the school's curriculum, so he had every right to use that book in the lessons, and it had pictures of naked male, naked female, just anatomical drawings, but little bits and bobs, man, woman. Fucking class kicked off on him. You can't show us that. That's wrong. A woman can have a penis. All this bullshit, and fucking guy got sacked. It's a book that the school gives out on their curriculum to be taught to the class. So how can he be in the wrong for teaching common sense and also using a book that a fucking school governing body have given him to use in class? Fucking travesty. So many people wanting their fucking heads mashed. You won't kick sense into them. You won't kick sense into them because they're so indoctrinated, and they're using this. It's a platform to just wreak havoc. It is. I sound like a massive right-wing twat, don't I? Which I truly am not. But I know common sense, and I'm not seeing a lot of it in this day and age. In a way, the world's become a pantomime. It's become a complete and utter farce. All rules have been reversed. So we've always wanted to support the underdog. We've always wanted to support victims, whereas in crime and justice, it's always the perpetrator that gets all the rights and all the privileges and gets looked after, where the victim gets nothing. I'd like to see that one reversed. But oh no, we don't do that, do we? No, because they can be rehabilitated. You've got fucking mass murderers. You've got serial rapists who then they murdered girls and then raped their bodies. There's a couple of these cases. One of them wants to get married now, and he's got, why do women fall in love with people on fucking death row? And she wants to marry this guy. And there's an uproar like, well, how should he be allowed to marry this woman? Well, the simple fact of the matter is, in law, he can marry. As far as our societal morals are concerned, it's bang out of order. Did you hear this one as well? There was a guy in a transgender on death row who got executed. I think his name, I might get this wrong now. Again, I didn't write any of this down, so I'm flying by the seat of my kilt. And I'm wearing the ancient Mackenzie, the favourite, of course, the Mackenzie, which we're part of, Mackenzie's. Dwayne Owen, I think his name was, and he was on death row, and he had stabbed a young girl to death. He stabbed her a phenomenal amount of times, and then he raped her corpse. He was on death row, and they executed him. And but the write-up about him had, well, it brought out the trans mob, didn't it? And they were like, oh, they've misgendered him. Well, they didn't call him because they misgendered her, because in the write-up they said about this Dwayne Owen, like, that name could be wrong, folks. I do apologise if it is. They kept saying him in the whole thing, and but this mob come out. This is a person that had knifed to death a young girl and then raped her corpse, and they're coming out to defend him because he was misrepresented gender-wise in a write-up. Fuck off. You see, debate is a great thing, but debate's a two-way thing. I should be able to argue my point to you, who might have a completely different viewpoint, and we argue. We might not come to terms, but with debate, sensible debate, which can get heated, of course it can, but sensible debate can reach a sort of a conclusion where, well, one of you might capitulate and you might reach common ground, and suddenly new thinking can come of it. That's what debate's about. Debate and discussion, it's very, very important. It's a massive freedom of speech and democracy. You know, and here's that fucking rain again. God. But the trans mob and all the LGBTQ, oh fucking hell, this could go on forever. Like one of them names I couldn't pronounce before. They don't debate. They don't debate at all. If your viewpoint is different than theirs, then they come down like a ton of bricks. They'll pull your hair, they'll scratch your face, they'll hit you with their placards, and they do, and they issue death threats, because we've seen it now too many times. Just one person can be surrounded by a mob. One of the most terrifying things in the world. Forget your orca killer whales and your great white sharks. Being surrounded by a mob baying for your blood is one of the worst things that can ever happen. I know, I've seen it, I've been involved in situations where this has happened, which is why I've talked a lot about the incidents of Black Hawk Down, incidents in Afghanistan, incidents in Syria, and other places where mobs have took control, Northern Ireland, and it's one of those things. It's very hard to be trained how to deal with that. And these people are doing that they're learned speakers. They've been recognised and lauded with awards, for decades. They are learned speakers and scholars who have got something valid to say, which is factual. Whereas this mob are they're leaping on something. Is there some kind of grassroots level rebellion against the world order? Do these people know something which we're not privy to? There's a lot of fear about the new world order, the digital dollar, the digital ID, and believe you me, I don't want any of that shit either. And you know this. You know how I fucking hate governments, having worked for the bastards. You know, I know what shallow but deep pocketed. When they're getting the backhanders, their pockets are fucking deep. When they're looking after their population, couldn't get the fingertips in there, you know. And then there's a Rottweiler biting at them. You know, they don't look after anyone. They look after themselves. It's all fake, shallow lies and deceit. Well, so I've got no love for the government, but I've got a love of common sense, and I'm not seeing much of that at all with this woke brigade. But I keep hearing that the woke worm has turned. Everyone's now going against it, and well, I keep hearing this. We're not seeing much evidence of it. Whiskey. So we covered a bit. Oh, hang on. Okay. In the magazine edition, there's always a peeve of the week. Okay, well, there is one. It's right here, right now. You've seen me do Cooking with Kilty, and you've seen our prehistoric gas cooker with the hobs and the flames and all that. Like, oh, it's great. You know, you get your match or your firelighter, turn it on, hit the ignition. Oh, look at that. Oh, flame. Instant flame, instant heat, instant hot. Put a pan on that, heating straight away. Well, in our cottage, it's an electric cooker. Oh, it looks great. It's got all digital displays and all sorts on it. Very spick and span. The cottage is fantastic. I will show you. I'll do a tour of the cottage at some point. I will, I promise you. But me and Mrs. Kiltman, they give you instructions how to use it. And yeah, it's not hard to work it. Well, actually, it was quite hard to work out. Oh, the clock's got to be right on it before it works. Right, and that took ages trying to get the clock right, the right time. And like, which hobby we going like? You just hit the button. What do you do? You put your hand? Don't put your hand over it. It'll be hot. Don't put your hand over it. It'll be hot. It takes hours for the fucking thing to heat up. You kidding me? And like we're gonna do like a pan. What were we doing? Forgot what we were doing. It was chili con carne. So it was just. Lucky it wasn't like making our own fresh chili con carne. Christ. It was at the tin. Whoosh, oh, fuck, it's gone over me again. A fucking ring pull again, bastard. Into your pan. Put it on there. And like, stir it around. Don't let it stick to the pan. An hour later. Don't let it stick to the pan. It's still stone cold. Oh, the thing's lit up all red. Oh, it's all red. And we've whacked it up to its fucking highest possible volume of heat. And it just takes hours. And the thing is, once it's took hours to heat up and you get your food, it makes all preparation of other things so difficult to do. And then you take the pan off and you have your food. Oh, don't go and lean on it because it maybe took hours to heat up. It takes fucking hours for it to cool down as well, doesn't it? Oh my God. So the pet peeve, electric ovens, electric cookers, I should say. Fucking nightmare. Oh, and inside it, you've got the grill. Of course, you've seen our cooker. It's got the overhead grill, which is flames. Oh, lovely. And you put your bacon or your sausages or your burgers under that. Like, oh, it's great. You see them and you bring them out, turn them around. It's like an indoor barbecue. It literally, for those of you that just use barbecues all the time, it's an indoor barbecue and it works great. It's fail-safe. Fail-safe and foolproof. Sometimes when the fat begins to burn and it goes off, get hell. But I'm lucky because I've got no eyebrows anyway, so if mine got blown off, you wouldn't even realise. But these things, how the fuck? You can put the actual oven on, you can put that on, but the grill that's in there, that doesn't fucking work at all. I've got no idea. And you're hitting the right thing, and you know it's meant to be on. Nothing is happening. Of course, what did we go and bring? Loads of burgers and sausages and bacon. Ah, fucking hell. There is, however, outside there, just outside there, and round the corner, there's a great big sort of area where you can all the other residents can mingle together, which we haven't done so far. And you can do your own barbecues. Oh, fire up the barbie and all that. That's me flipping burgers there, by the way. You got to do it like that, way, like you're fencing, way, whoa, yeah. I'm not doing that. I love barbecues when someone else is doing it. I don't like doing the cooking. I don't mind cooking, but I don't like doing barbecues because it's just, you feel a responsibility for everybody else. Oh, fuck that, I'm not doing that. So my pet peeve of the week is electric cookers. We'll never have one. You know, your prize are antiquated, probably dangerously hazardous, ancient gas cooker. You'll have that when you pry it from their cold, dead fingers. Although they won't be cold and dead, they'll be hot and dead because it's fucking exploded. Right, that was the peeve. Well, we do the earworm, I'll come on to that in a minute. Here's a new one. What I've loved this week, I'm going to add this to to balance things out a little bit on the magazine edition. What I've loved this week has been shark footage on YouTube and Facebook. And these are just little short videos, little short, I think they call them reels. Well, there's a nautical term for you, a fishing term. Quint would like that one. What's the point? Hooks and lines. Well, you lose one, you rig one. And they're little just snippets of usually great white sharks. People are swimming and it's coming up towards them. People are on surfboards or kayaks and it just comes out of the water next to them and they happen to be filming at the time. Lots of ones of people fishing deep sea and suddenly a fucking great white comes up, or you see one gliding past a vessel, a boat, and they go, oh, it's a shark. And then they all go, because the shark's twice the size of the boat that they're on. And they go, oh my God, it's brilliant. A lot of surfers, and you see them people, surfing on the tide, the waves, whatever you call it. And you see a fin suddenly come up behind them, and they're oblivious to the fact that there's a dangerous shark right there. I love it though, and God forgive me, conscience, I spit on thee. I actually love some of the shark attack ones as well. Well, I've said it, folks. I've said it out loud there. And some of them are really they're nasty, aren't they? But, I don't wish anyone to be killed by a shark, eaten by a shark, but it is fascinating to watch. And you think, you show it in movies and you show it in all vivid, in the old days, prosthetics and animatronic effects, mechanical effects in Jaws and Jaws 2. And then you get visual effects and CGI of the likes of Deep Blue Sea. And, it can be pretty graphic and gory and whoa, God, no. But in reality, oof, fuck, Jesus. The guy that he gets flipped out the water and it takes him down. He comes up again and he's still alive and he's calling for his dad. It's pretty grim. But it's also, as I say, it's grimly fascinating at the same time. I opened that, didn't I? And didn't take a swig. And a rescue boat's going for him as well. But the shark's done the damage, and they managed to bring him out, but he's dead. And you see people as well you see the shark, the fin coming up, and you see a big turmoil in the water. You might see a leg as someone gets flipped over. Again, the shark's doing that thing of coming up and testing. What is this? Is it a seal? Elephant seal? What is it? Can I eat it? Should I eat it? Can I? Should I? Okay, I will. Boom! And then they headbutt it. They snout butt it out of the water. It's a person. And they go like that. And then before it even lands, fucking thing's got, okay, yeah, I'll have it. Oh, Jesus. That's why they are an apex predator and the best in the business. They might not be as big as a killer whale, but they're absolutely proficient at what they do. There's a great one of gulls. I'm not sure where it is. A lot of these things are foreign again, so you might have someone jibber-jabbering on over the soundtrack, but don't listen to that. And some of the write-ups are crap, and suddenly the videos might get interrupted by the bozo that's actually uploaded it, says me, who just goes he comes on with that transatlantic drawl. Well, that's it for me. I'm never going to get in the goddamn water again after seeing that. Jesus H. Christ, And you don't need that intercut. Just show the fucking footage. But it's one of these birds, all these gulls, and it's quite tempestuous. It's a rocky cove, and they're all coming down. There's obviously fish coming to the surface, and they're coming down, diving in, swooping down. But you get a lot of the gulls have, if you watch it, the gulls are kind of going like, a lot of them are going like, have you seen, did you see that? Mate, have you seen that? But one keeps going down because there's something there, and he's going down, and he's pecking at it, and then you know what's coming. It's a fucking shock. If it shocked me, imagine how that poor seagull felt. And he's there, all right, what's up with you? There's plenty for all of us. Look, and then suddenly, and they do it in slow motion. Whoa. This Leviathan comes up. You don't even see a feather going slow motion. The whole thing has just gone down. But it's fascinating to watch. So I've been doing that a lot, just like, and if you go on to like Facebook and YouTube, and I've seen all these before, you just come out of it and go on it again, and it's a different setup of them. But if you start looking at one, it could be UFOs or Bigfoot or I don't know, fucking people dancing, whatever you're fucking into, But if you start looking at shark ones, you'll be bombarded by shark footage, and I love it. I do. So that's what I've loved. The peeve was electric cookers. The earworm could be difficult because I've got no sound system. But because today is Indie Day, there's only one thing it can be, isn't it? And that's the Raiders March. So let's bow out together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Got tongue tied there. Folks, I happen to which I've killed man. I'll be back with a tour of the area when it stopped fucking raining. What a bastard. As we said, it's so glorious. It is super, super hot actually. But in a bit, I'll take on a tour of the holiday abode, and I do recommend this place. It is gorgeous, and the apartment the cottage is fabulous. It suits us down the ground because it's just me and Janet, Mrs. Kiltman to you, and Roxy the Wonder Dog. The kids and my son's mates are all back at the Kilt Mansion. So fuck knows what state that place is going to be in. But anyway, in the meantime, in this ever holiday whiskey guzzling in between time, please keep it Celtic, keep it Celtic. And I am going to be back. Kipish, kapash, kapoosh, kaboosh. Hang on a minute. So you guys who are seeing Indie today, you're going to have to let me know what you think. And I know, you motherfuckers are going to let me know as well. So I'll have to bite my tongue when I do us a favour though. Seriously, if you're messaging me, don't put spoilers in it. Just say what you think of it, and please don't put spoilers in. When I spoil things, I say right from the word go, I'm going to spoil this, so you know right from the word go. So don't spoil it for us, because in my heart of hearts, I know this is going to be nowhere near as good as I want it to be, but I still want to enjoy it, and it still could be escapist, adventurous fun with a much cherished character, an icon. So let's give it the benefit of the doubt and just sit back and have a fun ride. So anyway, enough of this. I'm not going out in that. It's absolutely fucking pissing down. Oh, I'll just play tabletop football for a bit then. Against you. Don't worry about him. He's a stunt man.